Thank you all for being here. For some of you, it is very early. For some of you, I know it is very late. So I appreciate you taking your time to be with us today. And I'm really, really excited to talk to you all, although it does feel a little bit like I'm talking to myself. The emojis really help. Thanks, everybody. So I'd love to just get started today with a little bit about myself, just so you can understand the lens I bring to this conversation. Professionally, I'm a teacher first and always. I've been a classroom teacher, a school leader, a district instructional coach. I truly don't think I'll ever do work more profound than my time working in schools. I just have such deep admiration for educators and the work that you all do. I also, candidly, don't think I'll ever be that exhausted again. But that experience supporting students and teachers directly shapes everything I do. Today, I work in ed tech. I just passed the decade mark, which feels wild since I transitioned out of public education. I never, ever expected to work in tech, but I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. So I think that is just like it's in the air and forces you in that direction. It was inevitable. Over the past decade, I've seen the promise and pitfalls of technology and education up close and personally. Another lens I bring to this is I'm a parent. These are my two kids on the screen. I have a 6-year-old and a 3.5-year-old. I want my kids to grow up in a world where they are deeply connected to themselves, to their communities, to their purpose. I want them to have meaningful jobs that require critical thinking, creativity, care. I want them to have knowledge and skills to lead fulfilling lives, whatever that looks like for them. Except for maybe what it looks like for my 3-year-old right now is to be a butterfly princess. So we're gonna keep working on our goals. I want this future for my kids, my former students, and for all children. And that really, really drives me. Across every role I've held, from the classroom to product roadmap to bedtime, I've come to believe one thing. When it comes to learning, educators play an irreplaceable, critical role. This has been at the center of everything I've done throughout my career. And no matter how smart the technology gets, and it keeps getting smarter, the classroom still runs on human wisdom, and it will. As AI enters our schools, I hold this belief even more deeply. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today and what that looks like. In my perfect world, in my perfect world, this would be a conversation where I get to hear what excites you, what concerns you. I would much, much rather sit and just talk to a group of you all than have you all listen to me talk, but I have been told that is not how keynotes work. So I'm going to use this time to share some of the thinking I've curated from my incredible colleagues through countless conversations with educators I deeply respect. But I do want to hear from you first before we really get started. So we're going to do a quick poll, and I just want to get a gauge of how the room feels about the future of AI as it relates to teaching and learning. So if I could get the poll up, and I would love to hear anything from being really excited, being all in, all the way to not excited at all, and you're going to scream if you hear somebody talk about AI, which I would, as much as I want you all to stay, I would encourage you, if you are an E, to maybe not stay for this keynote. I'm going to say AI a lot. And it's okay if you're still evaluating your feelings, or if you're skeptical, or if you're anxious, or if you're super excited. I'm excited to hear from you all. Look at this. So no matter who you are, wherever you stand, you are not alone. We've got folks across the board. I think some cautious skepticism, some evaluations, some folks all in, some folks who are just starting to enter their excited phase. I hope today this really helps give you a framework for how you might think about it. I'm not here to tell you how to think. And in fact, I think your ideas are probably much better than mine. But hopefully just having a little bit of a framework and some context will help you think about what this could look like. So now that we know how you all feel, let's talk about how the headlines feel. We're going to look at what I call the oversimplified debate. So if you look at the headlines, AI is everywhere. You see two dominant narratives. Narrative one, AI will replace teachers. Sometimes it's framed as a solution to shortage. Sometimes it's driven by the belief that AI can simply do better. You see all these big names in tech saying teachers might be there for childcare. AI is going to replace teachers. You see initiatives going into this, already trying to do this in some capacities. But then there's another narrative. which is teachers are still critical for relationships. Relationships are so central to the classroom. They're central to learning. This camp emphasizes the power of interpersonal interactions and human connections. And it says AI can't replace teachers because teachers are so critical for relationship building. And here's what I believe. Shockingly, I believe both are right. And I also think both fall incredibly short. So here's how I think about it. Yes, AI should take on some of the teacher's role. It absolutely should replace some of the things you do today. The repetitive tasks, the logistics. I was a physics teacher, so I wrote 100 versions of the same question at slightly different levels and swapped out names and changed the numbers. AI should do that. But at the same time, teachers are absolutely irreplaceable. It can't build trust. It can't sense the hesitation in a child's voice. It can't decide when to push, when to pause, when to try again tomorrow. It doesn't decide what's best for your students. You can. But I want to push beyond this. Teachers are important just for relationships. I want to push beyond the idea that what makes teaching un-automatable is just emotional labor. Emotional labor is incredibly important. It's a central part of the job, but it is so far from the only part of the job. I'm going to tell you things you already know. It's worth a reminder. Teaching is intellectual. It's ethical. It's human work. And in the age of AI, teachers are not just relationship builders, although that is incredibly important. They are designers of learning, designers of critical decision makers, and irreplaceable interpreters of context. So I'm here to argue that AI is not here to replace you. It's here to amplify you, to save you time, to expand your reach. I know all of you who have ever been in front of kids wish you could do more, and AI can help you get there to make space for deeper connection and better learning. Longer term, I believe the promise of AI is incredibly exciting. But I only believe this if teachers are in the driver's seat now. And so here's what I have to tell you today is that our students need you more than ever. We know this. But unfortunately, the job got a little bit more important and a little bit harder because not only do our students need you, so does AI. AI is only going to serve students if teachers are in the driving seat. So I'm going to argue your role hasn't been diminished at all. It's been elevated. And your job isn't just going to survive AI, it's going to get more important. So let's talk about what this could look like. And in the spirit of Connect, the idea is to walk away with, some practical ideas. So I tried to keep this as grounded in things that can happen today as possible. So you have to think of AI as your assistant. This is how we think of it when AI works, and it works because of you. So I think of this as an eager intern. We love interns. They're fast, they're helpful, occasionally incredibly brilliant, occasionally say things that make you wonder what is going on. They're full of potential, but in definite need of coaching, guardrails, and guidance. This is how you should think of AI. With your eager intern, even straightforward cases of AI can be incredibly powerful. For differentiation and accessibility, you can generate tiered writing prompts in under a minute, translate announcements into multiple languages for families, generate hundreds of standards-aligned practice problems. For assessment and insights, you can auto-grade exit tickets, and you can auto-grade exit tickets with student voice. So you can even push beyond the means of assessing students that you have today in a traditional setting. You can summarize student reflections. You can surface themes or needs, create student groups for data-driven follow-up. And all of that can happen in minutes. So even though I tried to take my Seesaw hat off a little bit today, I had to show you some of the things that are possible today in Seesaw that are relatively accessible AI use cases. If you're interested, there are sessions later to tell you more about them. So here's the first one, possible today. A teacher uses Seesaw's question assistant to generate a math task aligned to her state standards. That can take 45 minutes. If you're anything like me, you're agonizing over every single word. You can do it in 3. You can use that time to check in one-on-one with a student who's been falling behind. In this example, AI can generate a differentiated task, but the teacher ensures all students are reached. Another example. An educator sends home a class celebration message written in English. That message was received by each of her families, auto-translated into their preferred language. A Spanish-speaking parent can respond in Spanish, and the teacher receives that message in English. In these scenarios, both the teacher and parent feel more connected, and the parent is able to celebrate their child at home. In this case, the teacher makes a meaningful message, but AI makes that message accessible. And the last example for right now. A student used Seesaw's reading fluency tool to record themselves aloud. If you've ever done any type of assessment of student reading fluency, you know that it can be incredibly manual. An adult has to sit in front of a kid and mark down everything they're saying. With AI, a student can record in a safe space, and the AI can evaluate the accuracy, giving a teacher a snapshot of fluency growth for all of their students. But in this specific scenario, it gives the teacher something more, a recording that they can play back to the student. In this case, a student has been struggling and they really, really nail it on their reading fluency assessment. So the teacher plays it back and says, listen to your voice. You sound like a reader. In this scenario, the AI captures the performance, but the teacher takes that experience and turns it into pride for the student. So you can see AI can surface tasks, surface ideas, streamline tasks, expand access. This is all really, really exciting stuff. These are all things we want to be able to do, and we want to be able to do them at scale. But it can't decide what's developmentally appropriate, what's culturally responsive, what's best for your kids. That's your domain. So when I look into the future with AI, I actually have really mixed feelings. I want to be solely excited. But I think we all know that the promise of technological innovation has not lived up to the hype in the past. And mostly my concern comes from what I've seen happen in the past, which is not involving the right people, educators who are in front of teachers, educators who support teachers, educators who support students. I'm worried if they're not involved now, if you all aren't involved now in how AI is leveraged for our students. If AI is going to help and not harm our classroom, it has to be shaped by people who know students best. And that's you. But I also think about the possibilities. That's part of my job, and it's one of the best parts. And I truly think AI, if done right, can unlock a world of classroom learning that makes learning better for all students at scale. But this is not going to happen if we design the system where teachers do relationships and AI does everything else. That cannot happen. We have to design a system that leverages the deeply intellectual and ethical roles that educators already play in their classroom and absolutely have to play in the age of AI. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you 5 different kind of roles, ways to think about what a teacher's role could look like in the age of AI. These are not perfect roles. They are not mutually exclusive from one another. They are certainly oversimplified because the nature of teaching is such a complex profession. But I hope that this helps you think about it. And at the end, I'm going to ask you for your feedback. So please, where you disagree or where you might want to push my thinking, I would love to hear from you because you all know best. So here's the first role. This might be a familiar one. The teacher is the curator. Here's an example of what this could look like in the future. And candidly, I already see this happening in really, really innovative classrooms now. A teacher begins her week by opening her AI assistant, not to follow a script, but to design an experience. She inputs the learning goal. Empathy through storytelling. In seconds, the AI generates 12 possible lesson sequences and a bunch of content to support that. Podcasts from children's voices around the world, storybooks about migration and belonging, writing prompts personalized to each student's interests. That's a lot of content generated. But it's the teacher who chooses, selecting what resonates most with her kids, rearranging the order to align with inquiry-based pedagogy more effectively. She replaces materials with some from the local community stories, adjusts the tone for a student who's going through a really tough family situation. In this scenario, AI is generating the content and generating a lot of it, but the teacher is curating the meaning, turning a list of links into human-centered learning. So as a curator, the teacher is applying their expertise to shape the learning experiences. And I think this is so important because in a world of endless AI generated options, the teacher chooses what's developmentally appropriate, culturally relevant, aligned with student needs. And they do that grounded in developmental knowledge, grounded in pedagogical research, and the teacher transforms that raw, endless material into meaningful learning. The second role for the teacher is a teacher as an orchestrator. Here's an example. A second grade teacher is using an AI-powered activity generator to plan a lesson on habitats. The AI suggests 3 options: an article, a video, and a written reflection. But the teacher knows his students and knows it's been raining all week. Energy is low, focus is scattered. He turns the video activity into a shared walk and talk, pairs the students up, brings the written reflection outside with clipboards. In this scenario, the AI builds the outline, but the teacher choreographs the experience. So I think of the orchestrator as a teacher synthesizing data, emotion, and context in real time. This is deeply challenging, deeply intellectual. Sometimes we're just doing it. We don't even know we're doing it. AI can suggest next steps, but the teacher reads the room, interprets subtle shifts, makes in-the-moment decisions that align with how children actually learn. Orchestration is not reactive. It's responsive, it's strategic, and it's grounded in deep expertise. We're going to go to my favorite role. I think maybe one of the most important in this time we're in. I'm going to give you 2 examples because I think it's that important, which is the teacher as the ethicist. A 5th grade teacher is reviewing auto-generated feedback on their students' essays. This is amazing. If you've ever graded lots of writing samples, you know that can save you a lot of time. The AI correctly flags grammar and coherence, but the teacher notices something troubling. Students of color have been flagged more often for tone and formality. So the teacher pauses, rewrites the prompts, instructing the AI to prioritize voice, creativity, personal expression. The teacher tags the bias and emails the developers. Yes, you can do that. You should do that. In the age of speed, the teacher becomes the moral checkpoint. The AI is fast, but the teacher is fair. Another example. A 3rd grade classroom with students using an AI-powered writing partner to draft a personal narrative about his grandmother who recently passed away. The system, unaware of the emotional weight of that, begins offering generic improvements. Consider adding more vivid adjectives, add a stronger hook. The teacher, who's reviewing the writing in real time, immediately turns off the automated suggestions, leaves a handwritten note that says, "This is powerful. Thank you for sharing your heart. Let's talk together how we might revise in a way that honors your voice." Later, the teacher flags the experience to the school's tech team, recommending the system pause feedback on grief or trauma-related content until it's related to a human. In these scenarios, the AI moves quickly. Teachers move carefully. And in these scenarios, the teacher is guiding the tool and informing them and making them better, and doing that in a way that protects the child's humanity. So as an ethicist, the teacher protects what matters by making principle protective decisions. Where AI moves fast, teachers move with wisdom. They ask, is this fair? Is this appropriate? Who might be harmed? Teachers uphold the dignity of students by making ethical choices in how and whether AI is used. This is so, so important. I'm going to give you 2 more. Here's a teacher as a connector. An AI tool just generated a set of cross-curricular projects around climate change. For most classrooms, this might work as is, but not for this teacher. They tweak the examples to center Indigenous land stewardship, not just global emissions. The teacher adds a local case study, a nearby creek recently restored by student activists. The teacher invites an elder from the community to speak. In this case, the AI wrote an outline and made cross-curricular teaching more accessible, but the teacher brings it to life. The AI provides a shell, the teacher connects it to identity, transforming the experience into belonging. So as a connector, a teacher brings relevance and belonging. They go beyond the generic to make learning personal, tying curriculum to students' lives, cultures, communities, and identities so that every child feels seen and valued. And last, but certainly not least, because relationships are incredibly important, a teacher is an architect of relationships and joy. In a classroom where every student has a personalized digital pathway, which in many cases can be a good thing, it's easy to let students work quietly alone. But not for this teacher. She scans the AI dashboards and sees two students who are working on vastly different reading levels are both writing about bravery. So afterwards, she pairs them up for a mini author chat and asks them to tell each other about a time they felt brave. In this case, the students are working at really different levels, but the teacher is supporting that sense of trust and emotion and motivation. The AI suggests the alignment, but the teacher facilitates the creation of community. So in this case, the teacher is designing trust, emotion, and motivation in a world of personalized pathways. It is the teacher who builds the community. They craft environments where joy, safety, and human connection fuel learning because teachers understand that emotion is not separate from cognition. It is essential to it. So, in a very short period of time, I've given you 5 ways to think about the role of the teacher. And again, they're not mutually exclusive from one another. And you may lean into one more than another, may look a little different on every given day, but I would love to know your gut reaction. We're going to do another quick poll. Which of these roles resonate most with you or feel most aligned with your strengths? The curator, the orchestrator, the ethicist, the connector, the architect. I want to remind you that even in that case of facilitating relationships and joy, that is intellectual work. I'm excited to see. Oh, a lot of curators in the room. I love it. You know what I love about this so much is it's pretty evenly split. And I feel really excited about a world where we've got different teachers with different strengths leaning into different roles. You don't have to do them all. You don't have to do them all at the same time. I think teachers are the strongest when they lean into their strengths and they do what makes them unique and different. I love it. I think that there might be a lot of questions about what the role of an ethicist looks like. And I actually think this is the one that's going to be the most complex that we're going to have to figure out together. So it doesn't surprise me that this one is maybe more underrepresented because I think it's challenging. And I think it's going to be something that hopefully we can talk more about in the years to come. So I think at this point, the truth is no machine is ever going to understand what it means when a child finally feels seen. You do, and you always have. And with the right tools and your voice in the room, we can build a future where every child, every story, every possibility is honored. I really, really believe this. As much as technology hasn't lived up to the hype, I think it still can. These are not wild fantasies. These are futures within reach. Those examples I gave are for the most part possible today, if teachers are at the center of the design. And I want to remind you that your role as the architect of relationships and joy is absolutely critical, more than it ever has been. But this is far from the only role of the teacher. Educators will be curators, orchestrators, ethicists, connectors. So yes, AI is absolutely here. Let's be clear. But it needs teachers. It needs your wisdom, your insight, your boundaries, your brilliance. Yes, some absolutely believe that teachers' expertise is needed less in the age of AI. But I really, really strongly believe that this era requires teachers even more. I think our students deserve nothing less. And I really, really look forward to shaping this future with you all. So, in the spirit of co-creating this future together, I'd love to hear your thoughts. There is a form on the next slide, and we will drop it in the chat. This one is going directly to me. I think you might get some others from the broader Seesaw team. I want to know what you think. We are a product team here. We're building for this future. Literally, that is our job. We can't do it without you. So please, please, please give us your feedback. I would love to hear what you have to think about this framework, about what you need to feel like you can be more effective in your role and leverage your expertise. So I look forward to hearing from you all.